welcome to my YouTube channel. You guys really enjoyed my 10 dolly confessions that I did a couple weeks ago. So this video is going to be 10 more doll collecting confessions that I have for you guys. So stay tuned and let me know below in the comments if any of these confessions are some that you may have as well. Confession number 10 that I have to make is that my doll clothes are very disorganized and they're very messy, and let me show you what I mean by that. This is one case full of my doll clothes, and this is really shameful, I know. Some of them are hung up, but most of them are just kind of piled up here in the cabinets. Some of them are in Ziploc bags to be a little bit organized, but this is really a mess, and every time I want to find something I have to go through, pull everything out, dig through it all, find what I want, put it all back. The best organized doll clothes I have are these on these racks, but you know, the bigger clothes won't fit on these, and then they too are even kind of a mess like underneath. And then I have some doll clothes, the best organized ones I have are like I have USD and Little Darling clothes in this bin, and then I have some like slim MSD clothes in this bin. So I'm working on getting better organized, but this is an absolute atrocity and it makes me cringe even thinking about it, but I just really don't even know what to do because there's not space in here to hang everything up. So what I really need to do is probably get more tubs and kind of put them in these IKEA drawers like the other clothes, but I just don't know. So if you have a suggestion about what to do with all this stuff, let me know in the comments below. I am open for recommendations. Number 9 is that I am very confident about being a doll collector, and I don't know if that's so much as a confession or what, but I have never hidden the fact that I'm a doll collector. That's usually the first thing that comes up in conversation when I meet somebody new. Everybody at my job knows that I collect dolls. I have no shame in taking dolls out in public and taking photographs of them. And just to give you guys an example of this, we had a Secret Santa exchange at work, and my Secret Santa partner gave me a BMR Barbie. So they know me very well, and honestly, I have never been made to feel weird about doll collecting. I know that a lot of people in the community, they don't have supportive family members, they don't have supportive friends. I've only ever had one friend in the course of my life that actually kind of tried to ridicule me about doll collecting, and even then it wasn't that bad. So for me, being confident in doll collecting, you know, I tell everybody knows that I collect dolls. They're all over my personal Facebook page. Everybody at work knows. People out in public know because I usually have a doll with me in public, as I confessed in my last video. People often ask me for tips about taking dolls out in public and feeling confident, and my tip is always the same. Like, if you don't think there's anything wrong with it, or you don't make it to be something weird or sketchy, other people won't think so either. And I think a lot of people, you know, their families may not realize that doll collecting is a serious hobby, and so some of the things that you could do are show them pictures of high art dolls and things like that, and maybe they'll come around to seeing that this is a genuine hobby that really makes you happy. My stance on the whole thing is, if it really makes you happy and the person loves you, they should be supportive of you anyway. So that's my take on being confident about your doll collecting. Number 8 on my list is that selling is very difficult for me, but if you have a finite amount of space like I do, and you want to constantly bring new dolls into your house, you do have to sell some of them. You have to choose the ones you want to sell. The main reason it's so difficult for me is because most of the dolls I collect are artist dolls, and I never want to hurt an artist's feelings by selling a doll. And you know, that may be weird because a couple people told me they don't care if you sell their dolls, Allison. And, you know, I realize that they understand, the artists understand too, that that's part of the collecting thing. But I always feel bad about selling an artist doll. I don't feel bad about selling company dolls. but selling an artist doll always makes me feel bad. However, it's like the way I've started to kind of change my perspective and look at it is I get to give a doll a home for, say, a year, play with it a lot, really love it, and then there's always another collector out there that also wants to give that doll a home, play with it, you know, see how they like it. And so that's kind of what I've been doing with my selling, is just remembering that. And always remember, once you decide to sell a doll, never look them in the eyes again. So once you do it, you just got to pull the trigger, do it, put them up for sale, and hope that they sell quickly so you don't have too much time to think about it. So selling is a very, very difficult part of this hobby for me, but being somebody that, you know, I do buy a lot of dolls. You guys know that if you watch my YouTube channel, but I don't have somewhere to put all of those dolls. So I try to bring one in and send one out when that happens. It doesn't always go that way, but that is something I do try very hard to do. Number 7 on my list is that I'm not very gentle with my dolls. And you know, I buy a doll to enjoy it, and I want to play with it, and I want to take pictures of it, and I want to dress it and change it and do all these things. And I'm going to show you guys an example of that. This is my Simply Beautiful Pulse doll, and I had her up on the railing of my deck because I wanted to take a picture of her. And the railing of my deck, I would say, is about 8 or 9 feet high. And I had her standing up there, and she fell off. Now, it is a testament to how awesome Pasha's face-ups are that the face-up was not damaged at all. I have damaged my fair share of face-ups by dropping dolls. That has happened to me many times. But what did happen is her foot fell just right and her toe broke off. So you can see I've got a toe and I've got a foot missing a toe here. And I have tried to super glue it back on and it just came off. I didn't get a good, I guess I didn't get a good connection. But that being said, when that stuff happens, I don't get really bummed out about it. I see a lot of people when they get a doll that if something happens and they get a little flaw in their doll, they absolutely panic and they are very upset about it. And I understand that's totally understandable. It just doesn't happen to me. I'm not affected that way. Her toe broke off and I was like, oh, I'll have to glue it back on. I didn't, you know, I didn't panic about it, and it didn't upset me even, because I understand as a part of my play with my dolls and a part of me handling them all of the time, accidents are going to happen, especially because I'm a clumsy person. So I'm not gentle with them. You know, I dress and undress them, and I'm not delicate about it. I'm not a delicate person. And so accidents happen, but it's okay for me. I don't panic about it, and it doesn't make me feel bad about it. It's just a risk that I'm willing to take. Number 6 on my list, and along the same lines of not being gentle, is that I frequently hot glue wigs to my dolls. Now, these are wigs that are not made especially for those dolls. Like the wigs that I have for my Poupées dolls and for my Atelier Mimoni dolls, those wigs are made for those dolls, and so they fit very snugly and they don't come off. But when I have a doll with a Monique wig, for example, like this Kim Arnold doll, I will hot glue the wig on because it slips too much. A lot of people like to use silicone wig caps. I have a few of those, but honestly, I just prefer to hot glue the wig on. This is silicone, it's just, you know, hot silicone. So what I do is I'll put a little bit of hot glue on the resin head, being careful to avoid the face up because it will take paint off, and then I press the wig down. Once the glue, I give the glue just a little bit to cool, not long, I mean maybe like 5 or 6 seconds so it's not scorching hot, and then put the wig on, and then the wig is there. It doesn't slip off anymore. Playing with the doll is a lot easier. I have also been known to hot glue eyes in. So I've had eyes that were particularly frustrating one time that I couldn't get, for whatever reason, I couldn't get the eye putty to stick to the resin. And I have used hot glue to put eyes in before. You just have to be careful if the doll has lashes because the hot glue will kind of interfere with that. But I have used hot glue for a lot of things. I also use it if I'm taking pictures and I want the doll to be holding something. I'll put a little spot of hot glue in the hand. I'll put the prop in the hand, and then you can't tell on the other side that she's got glue in her hand, and then when it's over, it just peels right off. It peels off the resin so easily. The only thing about it is I don't put it on any painted areas because it will peel the paint right off too. But I love hot glue, and it's not for everybody, and a lot of people probably would not want to do that because they would be worried about the damage, but you know, I just love it for a lot of my doll things. Number 5 is that I love dolls with flaws. They do not bother me. I think a doll with a flaw, that rhymes, it shows character and it shows about the doll's previous life. This is the perfect example of a doll with many flaws that I purchased this year, and I really, really just love this doll. She came and she had a terrible cigarette stench. I made a whole video about cleaning her up. She's got a little dent in her cheek. She's made of wood. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but she has a little dent in her cheek in the wood, and you know, it took a lot of cleaning and effort to get her to where she needs to be. She's still a little bit yellowed from all the nicotine that was in the house that she was in, but I really love her, and I love all dolls with flaws because I think every doll has a story to tell. And so if a doll is flawed, it just adds to the character and adds to the mystique and adds to the story of the doll. So I never hesitate to purchase a doll that has flaws in it, especially if they're disclosed ahead of time, and especially if the price is, you know, a little bit less than what the doll would be if it were in perfect condition, because flaws really don't bother me that much. So that is just one of the things that I really do like, is I like dolls with flaws. Number 4 on my list is I have actually considered adding on to my house so that I could get more dolls and keep them in my house, because you can see my shelves are completely full. I have pretty much used every square inch of space in this room that can be used for displaying dolls, and I still want more dolls. It kind of goes back to how hard selling is. Selling's very hard for me, but I have limited space. But if I had more space, I wouldn't have to sell as many, right? I have gone so far as to talk with a contractor about how much it would cost to add an addition onto the house. You know, I didn't tell him it was for dolls, but I did ask about it, and the price wasn't terrible, but you know, in reality, that's not a really good way to move forward with my collection. So I decided I would have to do the one in, one out thing, but you never know, maybe one day, maybe we'll build a garage with an apartment overhead that can be the doll apartment. You never know what's going to happen, but right now our house is paid off, and so that's a big bill that we don't have to have, and so adding on to the house would be kind of counterproductive to having worked hard to do that. So anyway, but that is a serious confession. That is seriously, you know, I seriously talked to a contractor about getting a room added onto the house just for my dolls, but I didn't do it, but I did consider it. My number 3 confession. Now, I am not an in-box doll collector. I free all my dolls from their boxes. However, I will sometimes leave a new doll boxed for a long time, and I call that my rainy day doll. And I have one of those right now. This is an Evangeline Ghastly from Wild Imagination, and I've had her here for several months now, new in the box. This is a bad dream. I have not opened her. She's my rainy day doll. So one day when I'm having a bad day, or you know, something goes wrong, I'm gonna have her here to open and enjoy her. And so I always have a couple of dolls like that in my house that are unopened. This goes all the way back to when I was about 10 years old. And the first doll that I ever remember keeping for this purpose was Caboodle's Barbie. I got a Caboodle's Barbie, and I said, I'm gonna save this doll, because I got 2 Barbies at once. I got a Caboodle's Barbie and another Barbie, I can't remember which one. But I said, I'm gonna save the Caboodle's Barbie for a rainy day, and then I'm gonna open her. And what happened is I got strep throat. It might have been 6 or 7 months later, I got strep throat. I was home from school, wasn't feeling well, and I opened that Caboodle's Barbie, and it brought me some joy in a time that I just wasn't feeling really well, and I just needed something to kind of pick my spirits up. And so I always have a doll like that sitting around that is my rainy day doll for when I really need to pick me up. So at some point you guys will see me open this doll on the channel, but as of right now, she's still sitting here waiting. So that is a big confession, because I know a lot of people, as soon as they get a doll, they open it right away. And like I said, I'm not an in the box collector, so I have no intention of leaving her in this box forever. But as of right now, that's where she's sitting. Number 2, I often plan trips around doll related things, and as a matter of fact, most of the trips that I plan are for some doll related side trip or something to do. For example, in 2019 we went to Japan, and the main reason that I wanted to go to Japan was to see all the doll stuff there, and I got my Smart Doll Summer while I was there. But another really awesome thing that happened while I was in Japan is I got to go to Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, which was amazing. And so those were the two main reasons that we planned to even go to Japan. Not that I wouldn't have loved to visit otherwise. I got to learn a lot about the culture while I was there and see a lot of cool things. But when I'm planning a trip, generally I try to figure out, is there some doll related side trip I could take? So, you know, I went to France to do the Elle doll. I went to Spain specifically because I wanted to go shop for Nancy Famosa dolls. That was a big deal to me. And we went to Spain, and of course, like I said, we did all the cultural things, and I would have liked to have visited anyway, but it got bumped higher up on my list because there was something doll related to do there. So I often do that. Right now, my mind has been planning around whenever this whole situation is over. My mind has been planning around, I'd love to go to a BlytheCon in England, and I would love to go to Germany. The Poupées that they have in May every year, I would love to do that. So those are kind of the two trips that are floating around in my mind right now that I've been sort of planning for. It's hard to plan when we're in a worldwide pandemic, but I do plan trips specifically to take doll-related side tours. My number one confession is that a big part of the reason I changed careers was to be able to do doll-related things. I used to be a teacher, and when you are a teacher, you cannot take time off during the year because, number one, it's not fair to the students if their teacher's out of school for a week or 2 weeks. It's also not fair to the other teachers there that teach with you because when a teacher is out, behavior issues go through the roof. So I actually was never able to go to any doll events. I wasn't able to go to doll conventions, doll shows. I wasn't able to travel and do doll related things. And not to mention that teacher salaries in this country are absolutely dismal. And so, you know, I wasn't able to afford a lot of the types of dolls that I wanted to afford. So now that I've changed careers, I am an accountant. I work in a spreadsheet all day. Accounting is a much easier job, believe it or not. One thing that somebody told me, another accountant that was a teacher that became an accountant, gave me some really good advice, and he said, the highs aren't as high, but the lows aren't as low. And that's absolutely the case when you switch from a job like teaching to accounting, because you can have some really high highs as a teacher and you can have some really low lows as a teacher. With accounting, it's more of a kind of a straight line. You have a little bit of highs and a little bit of lows, but it's nowhere near the level as when you are a teacher. And so that wasn't the only reason I changed careers. The only reason was not just because of dolls, but that was I made a pros and cons list, as one does when you're looking at making a serious life change like that. And I listed out all the pros, and on the list of my pros was, we'll be able to attend doll events and we'll be able to afford to attend doll events. So it was a big factor for me in deciding to switch careers, and I'm very glad I did, especially glad that I did it now, because the teachers right now, y'all, if you know a teacher, send them your love and send them your good vibes and good wishes, because they are struggling right now. It is not a good situation for them. It's very hard to pivot to virtual teaching, where accounting was super easy to pivot to virtual accounting and working remotely. It's been very hard for teachers. So anyway, but that is my number one confession. I hope you guys enjoyed these 10 confessions. If you have a confession to leave, please leave it for me in the comments below. If you can relate to any of these 10 confessions, please let me know in the comments below. I love knowing I'm not the only one with these, what I see as kind of maybe weird quirks, but I love hearing from you guys to see which ones you can relate to. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.